It's 14 minutes past 8. You will know on breakfast we have been following the story of the three dads, Andy, Tim and Mike, who became friends after their daughters took their own lives.
They're now halfway through their latest mission, and that is walking 600 miles between all 4 UK parliaments. What they want is they're calling for suicide prevention to be a compulsory part of the national curriculum. Our reporter Alison Freeman caught up with them before they set off.
Chaps, welcome, welcome. How are you? Oh, yeah, good.
2 weeks ago today, they were getting ready for their next challenge. Tim, Andy and Mike, the three dads walking, bonded by the loss of their daughters, Emily, Sophie and Beth, to suicide. But this time it's not only to raise awareness of the problem and money for the suicide prevention charity Papyrus, it's also to make a significant change to the way we talk about the issue. They were about to set off on a 4-week walk, taking them 600 miles between the 4 UK parliaments, calling on officials to make it compulsory to teach suicide prevention in schools. But before they left Mike and his wife Helen's family home, we had something to help them on their way.
Right then, chaps, I've got a little surprise for you all that's been gathered by Papyrus, Helen and some of us at the BBC as well. So if you would like to follow me, you can take a look.
We sat them down to show them a video of heartfelt messages, some from those they knew well.
Another walk, you say? OK, I'll follow you every step of the way on social media.
Good luck to the three dads walking, especially Mike and Tim for having to put up with Andy. I'm sure Emily, Beth and Sophie would all be very proud.
You don't need us to tell you how amazing you are and how important what you are doing with the walk is.
There were others from bereaved parents they'd met on their walk last year.
Anyway, I'm wanting to wish you all the luck in your current challenge and hopefully we'll meet somewhere along the way.
To Tim, Andy and Mike, thanks for everything you're doing to make an awareness for suicide. This is so important.
Hopefully I'll be doing one section with you, and you never know, we might get a drink.
Hey. And then some stars they'd inspired.
Hello, Tim, Mike and Andy, it's George Ezra here, just with a little message to say congratulations on everything you're doing, raising awareness for the charities around suicide and mental health. Yeah, thank you for what you're doing. Have a great trip.
Andy, Mike, Tim, just incredible. What you achieved last time around and what you're about to do now is just truly, truly heroic. I'm sending you love and my best wishes. Shout loudly. I know you'll be heard. All my very best. Good luck.
Flipping heck.
Brilliant. Oh, that was brilliant. Oh, that was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I mean,
oh, wow.
What?
Yeah, amazing. I leaked again. I leaked straight away.
Absolutely speechless.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig's special appearance. What do you make of it, guys?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it means so much, doesn't it? You know, for us to have made an impression, you know, it just shows you mental health issues and suicide. There are no barriers.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I've got to say, it's very easy for me to be very flippant and say it's obviously because it's envious about our bodies and, and the way we conduct ourselves.
Our chiselled profiles.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
But no, it's
but
it's just amazing. It's surreal. But the one thing it is, and everybody on there reminds you, is the difference that talking makes. You know, and so that's what we're going to do, eh?
That's it.
Walk and talk. Walk and talk.
That's all we know what to do, really, isn't it?
And drink beer.
Yeah.
And walk they have to Stormont in Northern Ireland, then across to Edinburgh and down to Manchester, where this week they were welcomed by the Mayor, Andy Burnham, who cooked them a curry.
Well, this will keep you going tomorrow.
Yeah, this is good. This is awesome.
I think what they're doing is just tremendously important. It's a conversation the nation needs to have. And actually putting it into the curriculum and encouraging a conversation with younger people is just where we've got to go with this if we're going to help people, protect people and save lives.
Also joining them for dinner were former football manager Sam Allardyce and ex-Liverpool and Man City striker Robbie Fowler, who too have been raising awareness of suicide prevention.
There was a lot of bravado when certainly in football. It's probably now people are starting to talk about it a bit more.
It
But
is
years
better.
ago, if you said something, anything like that, everyone would sign a week, or people forward to sign a week.
Robbie, I was in Parliament the first time that an MP stood up and openly said in the House of Commons that they'd had mental health problems, and it was a moment I'll never forget.
Yeah. The post-Curry conversation then turned to words of encouragement from Big Sam.
Well, I think it's down to sheer determination on the effect that they want to have. Like, I mean, because, in all fairness, they don't look the fittest, do they? I hope you continue to do what you're doing, and I sincerely hope we can all help in making sure that when you stop walking, it's in place. Yeah. There is something that you're proud of and what you've achieved to help stop these suicides.
Alison Freeman, BBC News.
OK, Tim, Mike and Andy join us now. And the great thing about these guys, welcome. We will talk about the walking and we will talk about the crucially important stuff, because we've spoken to you on the sofa over a period of months. It's been great getting to know you. But there are some things that you've been telling us that we don't know. Andy Burnham, when you were around at his house, did he make the curry from scratch? Was it any good?
Yes and yes, I think.
It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was awesome.
And then, so you stayed over, and the next morning...
Bacon and eggs.
Scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And
From scratch.
the eggs themselves have their own story.
That's right. Well, we arrived in Wigan on... What night was it? Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Yes. To be picked up by Peter Hill of Place to Place, who's been on here as well, I think. And Peter was taking us back down to Andy's, and as we got into the car, he handed us each a box of eggs, which I thought that was unusual, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he said, you've got a box each, you've got 6 eggs each, because I've only got bantams. OK? And so we arrived at Andy's house with a box of eggs each, which we then presented to
What's
him.
the significance of bantams?
The small.
Oh, right, OK.
Small chickens produce small eggs. And Andy scrambled them for us in the morning. That was it.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Let's go back to the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And there is a wonderful atmosphere around the three of you. And I hope by now are you aware of the conversations and the thing that you have generated? How are you feeling? Do you think you are changing things?
It's very difficult to say, particularly when we're out walking, and particularly over this last 10 or fortnight because of the situation we went in following the death of the Queen. So we've been living in this very quiet bubble. But as we've gone on, particularly this week, folk have started saying, do you realise what you're doing? Particularly the other night with Andy and
Sam Allardyce and Robbie Fowler.
The things they were saying to us was incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're getting feedback, but what difference it makes at the moment, we don't know. We know last year that by getting people to talk, we saved lives. We know that.
How do you know that?
Feedback.
We had one guy come up to us after speaking. We gave a speech, didn't we? And afterwards, he came up to us, gave me first, a big hug. I was going to take my own life later. Yeah. I'm not going to now.
That day?
That day. I cried a little bit, so did he, so did we all. Yeah. He, after hearing our losses, he couldn't do it. And then a few days later, he donated online, didn't he, and said, thanks for saving me.
Yeah.
And have you been, it's so important. That is an enormous thing to happen. Yeah. And were you able to, how are you able to help? Were you able to follow through? Because that becomes, as you very well know, the ripples of suicide and the effect that it can have, even hearing that someone is thinking about it. It becomes a responsibility, doesn't it? It becomes something you have to deal with yourself and try and help. I don't know what you can do in practice.
Yes.
Go on, mate.
It's generating an awareness, isn't it, all round, of course. We get people approaching us all the time, basically people affected by suicide and bereaved by suicide. And spreading that awareness, a culture of care, but the feedback we get is basically, more needs to be done. Early years. And we're talking about introducing, suicide awareness and prevention on the school's curriculum. We're starting from early years, primary school, secondary school, into higher education. So we are equipping our young people with these life skills they need to take into adulthood. They'll become parents and adults one day. They can look after themselves, hopefully, and also others.
And it's about signposting. That's the big thing. We're not suicide prevention professionals. So when that chap came up to us, it's signposting him towards the charity or those other people, and they can help.
And this is all born out of the memories of Emily, Beth and Sophie, your 3 daughters. So when you are up speaking, you talk about them openly and you talk about how this has affected you since.
It was a decision we made early doors, all of us. We talk about this. There's a stigma attached to suicide and mental health problems, but the way my family and myself looked at it is we were going to talk openly about Beth from the beginning. Talk about her, not try and hide the fact that she did take her own life. If things had been slightly different with Beth, she'd still be here now. If she'd known about, we do a lot of work, obviously, Papyrus, prevention of young suicide, and they have their Hopeline UK. And if Beth had known about that, and indeed, if I'd known about that, she could well be here now.
And that was the thing, I think, we realised from the moment we lost Soph, the day they found her body, actually. We had a long conversation in amongst all the tears that we had that day. We as a family talked about we had to do something positive, create something positive out of the loss. We didn't know what it was, but it's kind of turned into this kind of weird beast that we've created. But the power that we've got is built on the loss of our daughters. So I'm just sitting here watching the images of...
Pictures of all 3.
Floated around. That's what this whole thing's built on. That they, for whatever reason, decided to take their own lives. What we've got to use that as a foundation to help other people.
In a way, I suppose you're answering my question, is that a lot of people who have engaged with what you're doing will also have concerns about you 3, about how you are. Because, as you know better than all of us, grief comes at different stages. It can catch you unawares. I know that what you're doing is helping. How are you? I mean, how are you
good question.
Now?
Good. Yeah, we're good. And we before we set off on the walk before last year, we had a very long conversation about looking after each other, keeping an eye out for each other. But actually what we found, because it was such a positive experience, you could see how positive it was, the interaction we were having with people on an everyday basis. And then on top of that, we're getting this massive amount of feedback to say, keep doing it, you're saving lives. It was really quite uplifting, wasn't it?
But presumably it can hit you, I mean, you're all on the same mission here, but it can get you at different times.
It's not sideswiped.
It does hit us.
Yeah, definitely.
It does hit us.
Sorry, when I was giving that talk that we were saying earlier, I just caught a photograph or Emily's eye, and I lost it in front of, I don't know, 150 people. But I've lost my daughter. I'm allowed to cry if I want to, So that you're human, aren't you? Simple as that. But if we can get something positive, and we have massively supported each other, and that's how Mike and I got together. Less than a month after our daughters died, we were talking, and as 2 grieving fathers not knowing where to go, and that peer support has been invaluable.
Massively important.
You're on this walk just briefly between all 4 parliaments. Where are you at now? What's next?
Well, heading towards the Senate, aren't we?
251 miles in. So we finished last night in Cheshire, just south of Warrington. So we're day off today, and we're back 7:30 tomorrow morning at Grimsditch Hall.
Walking south.
Andy, you had me you walked onto our, because there's a little step on the outside. Because you tripped over. So please don't turn your ankle walking into our studio.
Not
ahead
here,
of your
not here, not here.
Oh,
Let it not be our fault.
Don't do that.
Tim, Mike, Andy, good luck. It's always a joy talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you've been affected by any of the issues raised, you can find help and support at bbc.co.uk/action line. There you'll find a list of organisers